That's the problem. You know what that's from? Every ring talking about myself in third person.
I don't like that business. I
What
want
tone
my, I
was
want my average right where it's at, closer to my house. I'm stingy.
You're doing probably more.
Well, when I had to call the ambulance last time, they were, all our ambulances were out and they called somebody else to get there. But I don't remember who it was, but they were just, they were good guys. They're all nice.
What's the impact?
Yeah, yeah.
But they, that's why they're taking money away from them. And one of the studies
See, he could have waited and made 10 more percent for the city. He was a man to money. You're really working, bringing money.
That ain't the way we want to do it. We try to, we do what we do.
Because if you don't, then you're gonna get some.
Wagner Public Works. Wagner Public Works first.
Yep. That's how it goes. It's at the back.
All right, I guess. Keep people there.
Okay.
Let everybody else know, we are gonna start with the public works side first. For the county presentation, that'll be on the city side. Yeah, pledge. Like to call the Wagner Public Works Authority regular business meeting February 5th at 7 p.m. We have Brother Bruce Baumwald here from the Church of God to open us in prayer.
Let us bow our hearts and our heads in a word of prayer, please. Heavenly Father, our gracious and loving Savior, we love you so much. Thank you, Lord, for the beautiful weather, God, that you've been giving to us these last couple of days. We just ask now, God, that you would be with this meeting tonight. I pray, Lord, that you would grant wisdom, that, God, that you would help everybody, Lord God, to be respectful for one another. We ask, God, that you would just be in the midst of this meeting, give wisdom, give guidance and counsel and strength. We ask these things of you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Kelly, sure, many firefighters here, might as well.
Yep, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1 is approval or correction to the minutes of January the 2nd, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 2 is approval or denial of claims, WPWA, to include numbers 120 through 141, manual warrants, WPWA capital projects, numbers 41 through 44.
Discussion, motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 3 is the chairman's report.
Before we do Employee of the Month, first off, I'd like to just kind of remember and thank Tony Lowe. He gave a lot of service to this town, worked a lot to make Wagner better. Hope to remember him for a very long time with the Junction. Going to be big shoes to fill on the Economic Development Board. Prayers to Sherry. We're going to miss him. I know he's in Jessica and Gordon's office nonstop, so it's going to be hard to replace. Next, we'll start with Employee of the Month. Up first, we have Michael Barnett. Big Mike.
You stop shaking now. Don't give me that look.
Boom.
He's too big for him to be passing out.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Next up, we have a gentleman that rose to the ranks fast, Carl Hill. Very good worker.
Good job.
Very proud of you, Carl.
Go, Carl.
Thanks, sir. Okay. Not, a little bit went on this month. We had the cold spell. I'd like to thank St. James, the Episcopalian Church down the road for doing the shelter. Whole community kind of came together and helped them out. Stephen and
Proud of our
Kelly.
Kelly O'Donnell. Me and her, she's from Texas.
Originally from Texas.
Yeah, not the rural part. Because we drove through some fields in a pickup and she was having a blast. But we looked hot and heavy, and it was a really good deal. I mean, it was a good time. I know I spent Sunday night. We stayed up late. I mean, it was kind of like being at church camp when you was a kid. So can't thank.
With a spin on it.
Yeah. Can't thank y'all enough for doing that and opening up. And
Opened our doors and the community came together, and that was the great part about it.
that's a great thing about Wagner is this community always steps up, to take care of each other.
They do.
Tomorrow I have a EDOC to sign for the 25 grand grant from the Cherokee Nation for Lincoln Park. We also have the new 5 swings. They're up. We're going to vote tonight to get the border and the mulch to be able to finish that. So the frame's up, but the swing's not attached. We have to have that mulch down before OMAG will insure it. So, but the tether balls are up. Seen a picture on Facebook, and it looks like Lincoln's really getting used, and it's really come a long way. I'm pretty excited about it. I think the whole town is. And Martin Luther King Day parade, we had to move it. It wasn't a whole lot better. It was still pretty cold, but we got it done. Kelly saved me by giving me some gloves. I think my hand would have been froze to that pole, but pretty decent turnout, and had a good service after the parade, and so that's about all I have for this month. Thank you.
Item number 4, discussion and possible action to purchase employee insurance.
I'm gonna say good afternoon, I guess it's, good evening. My name's Gary Brown, Amber Martin. Now, we work with a company called, with Premier, over Division of Relation Insurance. We've been y'all's broker for, I believe, 4 or 5 years now. Time flies when you get older. That's me.
Thank you.
Passed out here and we'll get to it. How you doing?
I'm good, sir.
Thank you.
I don't know if
Could,
it's easier to
could,
talk
could we have another one of those, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
For him, he gave me his. Thank you.
I don't know if it's easier to talk about insurance with or without.
Thanks,
the
Carrie.
name, but we'll figure it out tonight, right?
One
Uh,
more. Lori, over here, do they need this yellow one? Thank you.
Relation insurance. Yeah. We actually do business as Premier, so you guys have heard Premier a few times too, so all one and the same now. Does everybody that needs a copy received a copy? All right, I know we have plenty of items to discuss on the agenda. I have a mic.
Oh, now we're in trouble.
You're in the hot seat.
Well, again, Gary Broom and Amber Martin, we're here to talk about your employee benefit package. This comes around once a year. Our renewal date is set for April 1st. When we talk about insurance, a lot of people think about your vehicles and things like that, but this is actually the employee benefit package. So what we're going to be talking about today is going to be the medical insurance that's provided to the employees, dental, vision, and then the city covers the basic life insurance. Kind of intimidating subjects a lot of times, so we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. Welcome questions as we go, so don't wait until the end. You're welcome. We'll keep it as as informal as possible. Just to get us started, this year was a really good year for the city. So whenever you see proposals, we have a lot of rates that have maintained, and we actually have opportunities to enhance benefits and reduce cost. In 2024, that's not a common feature that we see very often. I don't like to talk a whole lot about trend because what is trend, but you notice that we see increase in prices about everywhere we go. To give you an idea of what most employers are seeing, in 2024, people are seeing around 9% increases, anywhere from 9 to 15%. You'll see that every option that we provide to you will be a decrease in cost when it comes to your medical plan. And then all the other benefits you're going to see maintains, or we have one benefit that there's a very minor increase in cost to give you guys better benefits. So kind of in a nutshell, to get you guys started. On page 2, just a quick overview. We talk a lot about medical loss ratio, and it's important for you guys to realize the city has over 50 full-time employees. So loss ratios are actually something we have to look at. The carriers look at how much money they take from you in premiums and how much money they spend on your employees' health care. Over the last 12 months, when I say last 12 months, we're talking about the 22-23 plan year, Community Care actually paid out 111% of what they received. So they lost 11%, not including any administrative fees or anything like that. And we had a rate pass last year. So we look at this year, we have an 85% loss ratio. And initially, Community Care came out and said, okay, well, we'll maintain their rate because we pre-negotiated it last year. If you guys remember, we got you guys in a 2-year rate lock. Just a quick little piece to remember is high claimants really, they account for most of your claims. High claimants are defined as anyone that has 10,000 or more of claim exposure. So, a lot of surgeries, you're going to hit that 11,000 mark or, 10,000 plus mark. Last year, you guys had 8 people that had hit that threshold. This year, you have 11. So we have a lower overall claim count, but we have a few that are ongoing. I'm not going to mention the diagnosis right now, but we have a couple that are going to be long-term high claimants. So just to kind of set the stage of what we've looked at. We did go out to market for you guys, regardless of a maintain, because last year we kind of talked a little, and people were like, let's just see what the market has to show. So you're going to see Blue Cross. They're the only ones that came in with a competitive quote against your current Community Care. All that to say, Community Care has a very nice benefit. Your employees have a $1,000 deductible today. So it's hard for a lot of companies to come in and really get competitive. Here in Oklahoma, we see Blue Cross, United Healthcare, very little Aetna, Community Care, and we also went to OML, their MHS product. But you'll see Community Care and Blue Cross are the only 2 that had competitive bids. Telemedicine is kind of a piece that ties into the medical plan. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I want you guys to visualize that, but we do have another option. Employees have had a little bit of trouble with the current telemed product. When they're calling in, they're not always getting, a service person that can find them in the system, and it's actually led to people delayed getting care, and we don't want that in the future. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Your dental plan is going to be a rate hold with Delta Dental. Vision is going to be a rate hold with VSP. It's administered through Sun Life. Same is true on the life insurance. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty. Page 3 is going to be your medical plan initial renewal. As I mentioned, we had it at a rate pass. You can actually kind of skip page 3 because you're going to see the exact same things again on page 4. We went back to Community Care and we said, okay, well, we're marketing this. What else can you do, right? Like Blue Cross is going to come in competitive. We need your best offer. So Community Care said, okay, well, we have 2 offers we're going to give. We're going to let the city choose between, they can take a negative 2% increase, which totals to around a $13,000 decrease for the exact same benefit.
This is
And-
itemized under the additional information on page 4, if you're looking for it in writing.
Yeah, we wanted it in writing as well, so you guys could actually visualize and see that. But with that negative 2% increase, they're going to say that in 2025, when you come up for renewal again, they will cap your rate at a 7% increase or less, depending. So what that means for you today is next year, you could truly only be 5% over what you're paying today, which is, uncommon. We don't see any carriers that can really compete with that. Most of the time we see them say, okay, we'll take a 9% the next year. So this is a very attractive option. If you say, okay, well, we're not really worried about next year, we really need to focus on getting our costs down this year, they'll offer you a 5% decrease this year, but there's not an additional rate cap for the next renewal. So that renewal could come in at 5%. It could also come in at 15. There's nothing in writing that would allow with that.
Regardless of which option you choose, part of our job every year is to help try to control that cost, and part of that is negotiating with the various carriers. So please understand, on that first option, that rate cap means that's the ceiling. That's the highest it can go. We will do everything we can to negotiate that down to a lower level. The same with option 2. Even if you take that away, you do the -5, part of our job is to negotiate that rate down for you. So rest assured, we're working for you. This is just something that has to be put on paper. Hopefully it doesn't come to that 7%, but it's nice to know that that rate cap is there for you. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. And on the benefits, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. I know there's a lot of pieces in here, but I want to highlight the things that are important on the community care plan, because I'm going to show you a Blue Cross option right behind this, and I want to kind of let you know the differences between the two. So under your community care, you have a $1,000 deductible if it's just one employee. If the employee covers family members, it's a $2,000 maximum, and it's per belly button. The out-of-pocket maximum is a $3,000 max, with families only seeing a $6,000 maximum. The primary care physician is $20. Specialty is $35. Urgent care is a $50 copay. And the other piece that I like to kind of mention is you have prescription drug coverage. Prescription drugs are going to be the same for any network pharmacy. There's not a preferred and non-preferred like you'll see with the other carrier. I just want you to know the difference between the two. The only other thing that's not really spelled out here, but community care does offer a fourth quarter carryover. We talked about it a couple of times. It's easy to forget after a whole year. But what it means is if you've met your deductible as an employee in the months of October through December, they give you credit for that calendar year and then the next calendar year as well. So that is a huge benefit that has helped a lot of employees. It automatically happens with community care, but we want to just kind of mention that that is a part of this package.
That's actually unique. Back when I was young, all the insurance companies used to do this. Nowadays, the only company that continues to offer that is community care. None of the others do.
All right. And then the last thing, just to kind of, not that it needs to be highlighted a lot, you have a select and standard network pricing at the bottom. The select network is going to be the Tulsa, Broken Arrow, Muskogee, St. Francis, St. John. Those items, Hillcrest is actually included in that. The reason we have the standard in place still is we have some providers in Tahlequah that are being utilized. So those employees need access to Tahlequah, hence the buy-up network. Questions on what you guys have available through community care? You guys are taking it too easy on us. Blue Cross Blue Shield is listed on page 5. So Blue Cross Blue Shield came out with a very similar plan that you'll see close to community care. Their savings is going to be about 4.7% under your current rate today. So there's already savings there. It's about $30,000 in savings that you would see there. With this plan, it's still $1,000 deductible. But if you look at the family deductibles, they do ×3 on Blue Cross. So under community care, it's $1,000 for employee or $2,000 for families. Blue Cross does $1,000 for employee, $3,000 for families. So just a small minor difference there. The out-of-pocket maximum is $3,009. So the same is true. You have 3 and 6 under community care, 3 and 9 under Blue Cross Blue Shield. Professional services, so primary care and specialty. Primary care is going to be the same story. You have a $20 copay for primary care today, it would stay at $20. Specialty is actually a reduced cost at a $20 copay as well. So that could really impact those that are using specialists. That's a really nice benefit. I will go on to say, last year we talked about one of your most utilized physicians was not accepting Blue Cross. This year he is in their network. He's showing up in their network. So we don't anticipate any network issues with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So this is a very good option. Labs and x-rays, you'll notice, are subject to the deductible and a 20% coinsurance. Community care has all of those embedded under their copays. So all this means is if you go into the doctor and you do not have any labs drawn or x-rays, your employee they're not going to receive an additional bill. They'll just pay that $20. But if the employee does have x-rays or labs, they're going to bill them outside of that $20 copay. So, sometimes that happens. The preventive care, that's always going to be covered 100%. So we're not going to have any problems with labs or x-rays on preventive. But under the actual office visits, whenever they're diagnostic, going in because they're sick or because they have maintenance going on, there could be additional charges. Inpatient hospital, outpatient hospital, you'll realize there's ADs behind some of these. Those mean after the deductible. So they have to meet their full $1,000 deductible before that 20% coinsurance will kick in. Once the deductible's been met, what a 20% coinsurance means is the employee's paying 20% and Blue Cross Blue Shield's paying 80%. So if the bill's $100, Blue Cross is covering 80 and the employee's paying 20%. The prescription drugs are going to be a little different. You realize formularies are different with every carrier and with every, the pharmacy is going to be a little different. Everything's going to be a little bit different. So some of the medications that are zero cost under community care may be $10 under Blue Cross. Some medications that are covered under community care's $15 copay may be no cost with Blue Cross. So just realize as we work through those, we're going to be here for employees if you decide to make this change, but it's not always across the board. The prescription copays are very similar to each other. I don't see anything too big. However, Blue Cross has preferred pharmacies and non-preferred pharmacies. Their preferred pharmacies are Walmart, Walgreens. They do not contract with CVS. And some of the smaller local pharmacies are going to be available to employees. They're just at the non-preferred copays. So they might end up paying a little bit more when it comes to prescriptions. There is also an out-of-network benefit with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Community care only covers emergency, life or limb threatening, or sudden and serious. So if you have kids that are out of state or things like that, and they just need a well check or things like that, Blue Cross Blue Shield would allow that. They do have a network for both, and they also have out-of-network services. What questions do you guys have? I feel like I'm speeding through. I apologize. Yeah.
What is the status of Blue Cross and St. Francis Network? And that's always a conflict.
Yeah, so Blue Cross and St. Francis actually reached an agreement in July of 2022, and I believe it was a 5-year contract. So we haven't heard anything of any issues there. So St. Francis and Blue Cross are currently under contract. Those things can always change, as those come up for renewals, but there's no problem with St. Francis and Blue Cross right now. Good question. Any other questions? All right, so I do want to mention there is an additional premium discount if the dental is packaged with medical. I'm going to address this on the dental page because it makes a little more sense so you can see a full picture, but I do not want to overlook that. All right, page 6. I get a little bit excited about this, so you guys can tell me to simmer down if you want. Has anyone heard of gap insurance? Yeah, a lot of times we think about gap insurance when it comes to vehicles. Gary and I are insurance people. We're super boring. We look at numbers all day, and there's not a lot to get excited about. And, we go out and we talk to people and try to help sell them insurance, and sometimes that's not very fun. And it's especially not fun when you say, okay, well, you're getting an increase of 9% and there's nothing I can do about it. So gap insurance has been something that we've actually been selling for a number of years, but just in the last few years, it's become very competitive to the point where we can pair this with a high deductible health plan, And that high deductible health plan can be offset by a lower premium that will pay for those deductibles and coinsurance amounts. We have a vendor that we've been partnering with. We have about 13 accounts that are currently utilizing this program. It's been working very well. Claims process is pretty easy. So I'm going to explain the claims process on the next page, but I want you guys to kind of understand this is to help reduce costs on your medical plan, and it's also designed to help increase the benefit to the employee. So it's going to sound too good to be true. So on page 6, give me some grace because I'll come in and explain it a little bit better on page 7. So page 6, you'll notice that what we've done is we've paired a $5,000 deductible plan with community care with a secondary. So you look at the middle column and it's going to show you just the primary community care plan. And if you look on the far right-hand side, it's going to show what happens when you pair it with a GAP secondary card. So our $5,000 deductible is going to be completely covered by the secondary insurance, leaving our employees a deductible of $0. Our co-insurance portion is at 80%, but once we have the GAP come in, we're going to actually end up at a 0 for any items that are subject to that deductible. Our out-of-pocket maximum under community care is $6,350, and whenever we pair that $5,800 GAP plan in there, it's going to take the employee cost to $500 maximum for their medical exposure for the plan year. Our office visit copay will stay at $20. Our specialist actually is a little bit higher at a $50 copay. But realize that all the labs and x-rays are going to be included. The GAP comes in and pays for those, okay? Diagnostic imaging is going to be a $750 if it was just the community care plan, but the GAP coverage comes in and pays that $750. Same is true for inpatient hospital, outpatient hospital, even the urgent care. The traditional benefit is a $50 copay with community care. If they present their GAP card and their community care, urgent care becomes free up to the GAP maximum as well. Prescription drugs are going to stay exactly the same as employees have today. Okay, so you'll notice that this is almost $65,000 of savings over the total benefit package. That puts us almost at 10% under our current fee today. And if you look at page 7, I'm going to kind of explain what that all means. So what we do is we actually put that high deductible health plan in, and then we've designed a GAP plan. So has anyone heard of Medicare? Most people probably have. So whenever you think of Medicare, you hear of people presenting their Medicare card and then giving their Medicare secondary card, right? So they purchase it through someone else. That's essentially kind of what's going on here. It runs through the primary coverage. It has to go through community care. If the employee doesn't have community care, can't have GAP. Have to have primary to have GAP. GAP operates off of what community care covers. So there's no network with GAP. It goes off the community care network. This plan has a $5,850 benefit for every employee. The benefit is eligible for paying deductibles. It pays the coinsurance, anything up to that $6,350, anything that would be going towards that number, except for primary care fee. So the $20, it won't cover it. It won't cover the specialist at $50, and it will not cover the copays for prescription drugs. Okay? So truly, the out-of-pocket maximum for medical expense should be $500 for every employee. So it's worked really well. It's a little bit complicated to explain to employees that they have 2 ID cards. As you can see here, they have their primary and the secondary. The provider has to file both, and the fees never touch the employee's hands. So they go through the primary. If the employee gets a bill, they have to reach out to our office. Lori said a lot of times they come to her, so we'll redirect. We'll give the insurance card if they haven't already given it. And the fee from Prosperity, is the company we use, would go directly to the provider. So it keeps the employee completely out of it. One question that always comes up is durable medical equipment. Durable medical equipment is covered under this plan if it's approved by community care. Okay?
So I have a question on that, and I'm not sure that I'll word this correctly, but
Okay.
let's say one of our employees and his spouse have 3 children. What's the cost on that? Still the $500, or?
So it's going to fall under family. It'd be $1,000. So the reason, and I'm going to explain it to you. So the community care has a 2 times maximum for families. The gap insurance covers 2 times maximum. That's why we had to pair it with community care. Okay, so we need the 2 times to 2 times to make sure the exposure stays low. So the out-of-pocket maximum will be $1,000 for families, where today that same plan is a $6,000 maximum. Great question. I've got wheels turning, I can see them. You guys feel free to speak up.
Yeah,
There-
I got, so this 5850, is that per month? Or is it, or were we just talking about $500 per employee for the gap?
So the $500 exposure is annually, the $58.50 is annually as well.
So it will be the, so it'll be 5850 annually plus $500.
So they're paying 500 of it. Exactly.
So in essence, what that basically means is your employee, you currently have $1,000 deductible, and, help me with the out-of-pocket.
3,000 max.
3,000 maximum out-of-pocket. So it lowers it to a 0 deductible and a $500 maximum out-of-pocket for an individual.
Jim, can I use you, Ben? Can I use you? Jim had a lot of medical issues, last year, it was, and luckily, we have community care, so he had max out of pocket of $3,000. If we'd have this in place right now, he would pay $500 for all that stuff that he won't go through.
With the exception of the prescription drugs that might have been utilized or copays. So those are the only thing that don't tick towards that 500. So it's a very neat benefit. There are a very few exclusions. We've gone through many contracts because GAP got us really interested, and we looked at about 6 companies over the last, well, I say that, it was about 2 years ago. We just went through every limitation. There's one exception, it's home health care. But generally speaking, if someone's having home health care, they've already had a hospital stay to hit their maximums. So we're not super concerned on that. Everything else is pretty reasonable. They're not going to cover eyeglasses and things like that, which your medical plan doesn't cover anyway.
Also, council, I'd like to point out, Amber had mentioned that she has other accounts utilizing this gap insurance. So I placed a couple phone calls today. I talked to a couple other cities, and both of the cities I was able to get a hold of today said that they love it, their employees love it, they have a great experience with it. One of them's had it for 1 year, and the other has had it for 5. So
How many employees do you know how many employees they had?
between, I think one of them was what, 150-ish.
Yeah,
150, and the other one I want to say was around 90.
it's pretty close.
Okay.
So the two that you called are around that. I will tell you that I have a couple of accounts that are over 200 employees on this. I have, there's a handful of accounts that have less than 20 employees. So we have a variety within the product, but there are definitely large, mid, and small employers that are exploring these options and seeing success to keep their premiums down. All right. We ready to move into telemedicine? Ready or not, here we go. Page 9, as I kind of mentioned, you have the Teladoc renewal. You guys are at a $5.25 fee. It's not going to change at all. Everything stays the same. We have had some trouble, and I already kind of preluded to this. We have employees that call, and sometimes they're told, we can't find you in the system. We've gotten involved numerous times and just not seen a whole lot of resolution, to be honest. I'm not saying that the product is completely irrelevant, because we still need it. We have employees that are seeking out that medical care. They're just not receiving it super timely. Revive Health has actually been something we've been implementing in a couple of our groups. Last year, you heard me present on a company called SwiftMD. They are actually renamed to Revive Health. So they've been a good partner of ours. It's a very minimal increase to the cost for the city. Right now, you're paying $5.25 a person. The new cost for Revive would be $5.50 per person. But the reasons it seems justified is there's actually a few additional benefits that you're going to see. Under Telemed, what you have right now is you have virtual care at no cost share. So like pretty much urgent care that you can call in for, right? With Revive Health, if you flip over to page 10, you're going to have that same urgent care for the employees and dependents. It's still at 0 cost share. But you see the second portion, it also includes mental health therapy at a zero cost. And you'll notice that they're going to have access to a licensed counselor within 1 to 3 days. I don't know if anyone's called an EAP. Please do not raise your hand. But we have people call us and say, hey, I need to get in touch with my EAP. And a lot of times when we follow up with them, they're saying, okay, well, I got scheduled. It's going to be 2 weeks. That's a long time to wait for, the need whenever it comes to needing a therapist or needing attention with mental health. So seeing that it's a 1 to 3 day turnaround is a huge benefit to your employees. And to top it off, that mental health visit is still a zero cost to the employee. It's a very minimal fee for a very, very large benefit. Unlike an EAP, it does not have a limit on how many times that can be utilized within a year, and it goes towards dependents as well. So kind of pluses all over the board. And if that didn't catch your attention, I'll push you over to page 11. This telemedicine also includes prescription drug coverage, it's not insurance coverage, but these medications that you see on this listing are at no cost share to the employee, and they have up to a $250 allowance for the year. And that is per person in their household. So if that employee has 3 dependents, every dependent has $250 worth of these medications that they could fill in this calendar year. So huge benefit. A lot of these medications you'll see are things that they would submit to you at urgent care. So amoxicillin, things like that, and there's no cost share. So I know that some of your part-time employees also have telemedicine where they don't have a major medical plan. This would give them the ability to pick up a medication under an insurance contract where today they're paying out of pocket for those medications. So.
This would also cover our volunteer firemen and part-time employees and reserve officers too. So it's a really huge benefit to add to for those part-time people that don't have medical coverage. And I'm not gonna say all the time, but a good 8 to 9 times out of 10, typically what the telehealth does is some form of antibiotic, and that's what's listed there. There's several different antibiotics listed, and that would be huge for some of our people.
Do they give you like a pharmacy card to take to the pharmacy?
They do. They actually do give you a pharmacy card. It has an RX bin and group number, just like your community care card would. Yeah. All right. I'll move over to page 12, and I apologize for the time. I'm trying to talk fast. Page 12 is going to talk about your dental plan. Your current renewal with Delta Dental is staying exactly the same as I mentioned. Blue Cross Blue Shield wanted us to give you a dental option because they were tying in that credit of $30,000, as I mentioned. With the Blue Cross Blue Shield Dental, you guys have an old policy with Delta. They do not have $0 deductibles anymore. So those are a thing of the past. So if we decided to move to Blue Cross Blue Shield, we would have a $50 per person deductible up to 3 per family, where it is 0 today. So $50 for an employee only, or if you have families, it's $150 instead of 0. So that's kind of one thing we want to look at. The $2,000 maximum is going to stay exactly the same. You'll notice that all the other line items are going to stay the same except for out of network. On the Blue Cross Blue Shield, you'll notice that that's a 90th percent of usual and customary, where Delta Dental is 51st percentile. Truly, the reason is Delta Dental, you have the largest network with Delta. They have over 90% of dentists in the state of Oklahoma. That means they don't really need much on their out-of-network. So they want you to stay within their network. Blue Cross Blue Shield, their network isn't quite as big as Delta Dental, so you need a better out-of-network just in case you go to a provider that's not in the network. It leaves less room for a balanced bill. So that's kind of the difference between the two plans. I mentioned that, you have a $30,000 credit, but realize that the employee costs are going up quite a bit. Right now, you guys have a 2-tiered cost. I know it's kind of hard to explain here, but if you look at those tiers that say employee only, employee spouse, employee children, and family, you'll notice that the costs are, their employee spouse are the same cost. If you go up to employee children or family, they're going to have the same cost. With Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's 4 independent rates, and the families go almost double. The city pays 100% for the employee, but realize that those families that are increased, they're the ones that are going to pay that increase because the employee the coverage does not extend to dependents for the premiums. Clear as mud? Thank you, guys. Vision plan, speaking of clear as mud. Vision plan is going to be a rate retain. You guys have VSP, you have for a number of years. You have all the bells and whistles with the additional easy options, a 12-12-12 contract, meaning employees realize that they can get their whole set of glasses every year, kind of the cream of the crop, and the rate has been maintained for another 2 years. So you guys are in good shape on vision. Life insurance is going to be the same story. You guys have a $20,000 policy for all employees. There are age reductions. They don't hit until employees hit age 70 or 75. All will stay the same there. And voluntary life will be exactly the same as well. I kind of put a summary page together to kind of refresh you guys because we've talked about a lot of different things. Medical, we have a few different options. You can renew with your current plans with community care at either the -2% or the -5%. The -2% gives you a rate guarantee for next year. Your second option with medical is moving to Blue Cross Blue Shield without dental, and you'd have about a $31,000 annual savings. Moving to Blue Cross with the dental would end up being about a $40,000 annual savings whenever you look at the premium you're going to spend for the additional dental. And then the third option is renewing with community care and adding in that secondary insurance, and you have a savings of around $65,000 a year. Do we want to focus on what we want to do with medical and then move on, or do you want me to keep summarizing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
So telemedicine, Revive Health is our recommendation with the telemedicine because of the issues and those added benefits. It's kind of a no-brainer to move to that. The annual increase is not even quite $200 per year. So, and that's total cost. Dental plan, I just wanted to note kind of the Blue Cross has a similar network to Delta Dental. The biggest change is adding back in that deductible whenever you're looking at it apples to apples. Vision and life insurance, we would recommend that you guys keep as is since there are no changes there.
Questions? A lot. I understand. We do a lot of stuff at y'all.
People are in shock when insurance people don't want more money.
It is surprising.
Excuse me. Hold on, I'll let Jim speak because he's an employee, so that kind of ties into him. I can't open the floor to just anybody. I'm sorry, that's why we do the unscheduled public appearance. Council? Lori?
Would y'all like a staff recommendation?
Yeah, I'm handing it over to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
So staff recommendation would be to stick with the community care option while adding the gap insurance. We think that would be an excellent benefit to our employees and help, alleviate some of those issues with medical. We want our people to stay healthy. We want them to have the ability to go get that help. And if with being that cheap, I think we'll see more usage and more healthy employees by doing so. As far as the 2% versus the 5% decrease, to me, that's kind of rolling the dice on next year because, like they said, a lot of times you see a 9 to 15%. You don't see a decrease very often. So my feeling would be to do the 2% with the cap of 7 for next year. And simply because, as Amber mentioned, last year we had 8 ongoing. This year we have 11. How many more are we going to add to? So I would prefer not take the chance and rolling the dice on what it could be next year and at least having that cap. And then, of course, we're going to fight for less, as always. So that would be my staff recommendation to you. I'm sorry. Option C is what that is in your booklet. Thank you for that, Dwayne. And then on telemed, staff recommendation would be the Revive Health with the 25-cent increase per employee because we're adding 2 extra benefits to that, and I just think that's a no-brainer to me. It's awesome. Teladoc in the past, I don't know, I want to say 6 months, has been very spotty. For the last 3 years, they've been excellent, but last 6 months, it's been really difficult for the app to actually work, so we've been stuck with having to call. We call they try to say, oh, well, you're not in the system. So then I have to fight and get on the phone and call and find out why they're not in the system. Turns out they're in the system. It's just they weren't looking in the correct place. And it's kind of been a headache. And so I think it's best that we move forward and try this other telemedicine out. Obviously, our Delta Dental, I believe we should stick with it. Doubling the cost with Blue Cross for our people that just, you know, to me isn't a good option. The vision, obviously, it's great. We have the best plan around. Life insurance, $20,000 at the rate we get, fantastic. So that's my staff recommendation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Discussion?
I want to clarify, so it's $500 annually for the gap insurance for each employee.
Yes, sir.
So $51,000 somewhere in there.
I'm sorry, wait.
Okay, so I apologize, I don't think we understood the question earlier. The gap insurance is actually, hold on, I'm trying to get to the right page. Page 6, if you look at the bottom of page 6, you'll see a base rate, you'll see a secondary rate, and a combined rate. So the gap insurance is included in the numbers we've provided.
Right.
-9% includes what the gap coverage costs.
So your combined rate, even with all that, you're still going to look at a savings of around $67,000 for the city itself. And then for the employees, it would be even more.
Yeah, under $1,200 a year per person in premiums, if that's the question, I believe.
Right.
Sorry, I
Gotcha.
apologize, I didn't understand. Then you'll see it's $93.70. To decrease, to eliminate the deductible, and that's a $5,850 benefit per person.
Okay.
Good questions.
Anyone else? Okay.
Discussion, motion?
Motion to go with staff recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll. Oh, yeah, pass that back.
So sorry. Sorry.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you guys. Lori, thank you.
Item number 5, discussion and possible action to enter into an agreement for remote medical services.
That is the Revive Medical.
Provide. So made.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 6, discussion and possible action to purchase employee dental insurance.
So made.
Second.
Have a motion. Kevin was your second. Please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 7, discussion and possible action to purchase employee vision insurance.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 8, discussion and possible action to purchase employee life insurance.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Could I ask you a question? I'm assuming that the purchase of all these insurances were in accordance with the staff recommendations, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, just for the purpose of the minutes, because right now the motion is just to purchase
Yeah.
health insurance or whatever, but they're all according to staff recommendations,
Correct.
right?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Mr. Hicks.
Item number 9, discussion and possible action, wastewater distribution to end the probation period on employee Cody Clayton. Note, the board may adjourn to an executive session for the purpose of discussing the above item pursuant to Title 25 OS, Section 307B1.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I'd like to use probation, Cody Clayton, at a rate of $15.94, no change, effective today, and he's here if you want to ask him any questions. I would add that he did get a CDO in the first 4 months he was here.
Thank you. Good job. Very proud of you. You want to give a speech?
No, I'm all right.
I don't blame you.
I'd like to make a motion to end the probation for Cody Clayton at 15.94, effective today.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Appreciate you, Cody.
Item number 10, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve an amendment to the service agreement with Kinetic by Windstream for internet services provided to the Widener Public Works Authority. Somewhere I have information. Sorry, I'm not prepared.
No, you're fine.
We signed this agreement with Windstream in 2022. There's still been a process to get it installed. It's doing fiber. This amends that agreement by giving us cellular backup should it go down, and also a better firewall that catches things as they're coming in instead of being reactive after they get there. There is a small increase in cost to each department, but it's minimal, and it's police, Public Works, and City Hall.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 11, discussion and possible action to have the secretary call the vote on motions in random order.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, why are we, I mean, I know we've done it before. It was in order, and then we've been out of order before. Now we have to have a motion to do that. It's kind of
Variety.
variety.
Yes, sir. Not one person starting off every meeting with a vote. Spreads it around.
For years.
Hmm? I was asking why we changed, we've went in order, we went out of order before, and then now we have to have a motion to put it back out of order.
Well, it just gives everybody the opportunity to go first, or go last, or go in the middle, either way. But at a random, it's just, I just think it's, other council members thinks it's a good thing.
Mr. Hicks, question. As far as the statute, as far on the state level, I mean, because I know legislative session, when they call roll, it's in the same order.
No, there is no statute.
There isn't.
The council is in charge of their own rules of conduct. Well, you could adopt Robert's Rules of Order, I'd hate to see you do that, but you could do that. This is perfectly permissible. Which is not to say it's a good idea or a bad idea.
Right, yeah, I don't, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, I just know we've done both, and we didn't have to make a motion to do it, so. Just questioning that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm questioning.
Would it be easier for Rhonda if you did like one month do this side first and the next month do this side first, or you just?
It's really immaterial. I mean,
Don't matter to me.
and I don't, there's no, when I do it in random order, it is literally random. I just look down, see a name and start going, and I never do it the same way twice, I don't think. There's no rhyme or reason to
I
it.
just thought it might be easier for you.
It just
Doesn't
takes the
matter.
pressure off this person having to vote first or, you know,
Vote last.
or going last, you know. So. But it doesn't matter to me.
We made a motion, didn't we, in second?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're sorry.
there's a motion and a
Oh, we're
second.
done with the discussion. And, yeah, we're still on
Yeah, we're still
discussion.
discussion.
Anybody,
I don't know, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it, but I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm just kind of wondering why we didn't do it last time. But it was with no motion. You know what I mean? It was it was,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first year was in order, then I think it changed. And then I think it went back and forth.
Well,
and then,
this way we can put it to a vote, and then, I mean, if it don't, it don't. If it does, it does.
We've done it both ways.
well, that's what I'm saying, we've done it both ways, but I'm trying to figure out why do we have to have a motion to do it now? But we didn't have one before.
Yeah, I mean, like when we came, it was.
It was all in
yeah,
order,
same.
and then
it
about
just
the
switched.
next year, it switched a
Yeah.
little bit.
It
And
was
then now,
never
yeah.
put on agenda.
And that's what I was asking about, like, not the statute, but as far as like the legislative session, it's in order per district and everything else. District or a seat, so.
There's no.
Really don't know what the order is. I mean, you want an alphabetical order by age, order by height, so I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know what order exactly means.
I mean, I don't call it by ward. I mean, we literally just have been going around the table, so, but this was a request from council people to put this on here, so.
May I ask who?
I had 5 council people.
Jimmy Butler, myself, Brenda, Kevin, Stephen, I didn't get a hold of Larry,
Okay,
but I made the request.
sure, okay.
Could I ask you guys to raise your voices when you're speaking so everybody back to you can hear you?
Okay.
Thank you.
have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 12, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve supplemental appropriations and budget revisions to the 2023-2024 WPWA budget.
Council, you have the adjustment in your packet, along with notes, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
What's the purchase of what kind of equipment is it? For
Three iPads and then some video recording devices.
3 iPads and a recording device?
Data
And-
recording,
Huh?
data recording.
Okay. The 3 iPads is utilized where? Only with electric.
You say electric?
Any other discussion?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 13 is unscheduled public appearances.
There were none.
Item number 14, departmental reports.
We found Ms. Sharp going to the hospital. I figure she probably wants to leave. So, yeah. Go ahead, Ms. Sharp.
I won't bring any particular comment tonight to the council, but I'm here to answer any questions from your reports in the packet.
Anything? Anyone?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, we've had quite an experience this last month. This month we've had a couple of years down to the single digits. We want to concentrate on a couple of departments as I usually do. Electric, we had some outage issues with underground direct burial with the freeze and thaws and as much water as we have accumulated over the last couple of weeks. Moving into the water department, I do want to recognize some individuals. These guys worked long and tenuous hours. I mean, as an example, to date, they've had to deal with 6 6-inch lines, 3 10-inch lines, a couple 4-inch lines, and 10 2-inch or smaller lines with the line breaks we've had over the last couple of weeks with the freeze and the thaw. The Joe McDuffie, the water department supervisor, Gary Zonkers, Carl Hill. I will touch base on Carl Hill just for a little bit. We was out late at night into the early morning hours. Carl was actually with a shovel, moving dirt with his bare hands. And I'll get to a couple other guys here in a minute in recognition of that conversation. But Assistant Chief Cagle took off his gloves and gave him to Carl to put on his hands, because his gloves was in the other truck, that another group of guys had went to turn off the valve so they could deal with that line break at night. So just kudos to that conversation. That boy humps up and works, and I know he's here tonight, and I want to give him recognition on that conversation. Jason Jones, Patrick Moore, Dwayne McElroy, Colton Hinkle, Colton James, and Wes Perry. Those guys worked long and tedious hours in single degree digit quarry. Unfortunately, some of the line breaks was on major streets and Highway 51 from that matter. But they humped up and went through it. We had a time when it got a little bit sketchy in regards to the water supply. As you guys noticed on the TV and the news station, lots of cities was having problems, even to the point of conserving water. We got to that point, we even put out a request to conserve water if you could, because we was pouring through the water and treating it quite quickly at the water plant. Right before we had the big coach net come in, I called a special meeting that Friday with a core group of my staff, city involved, with emergency services and everything else. I want to shout out to Chief Grooms, Assistant Chief Jimmy Cagle, Eric Jones, and Thomas Applegate. Those guys, when I sent the message out that night, we need to go find a line, I started getting replies right back. I'm headed in, I'm headed in, I'm headed in. I just want you guys to know what good a group of team players and employees you have here. It don't matter what department it is, they step up when the call is made. So I want to publicly thank them and recognize them for what they went through this last month.
Thank you.
I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have, but that's the biggest issue that we've dealt with this last month. And we're not out of Mother Nature yet.
No.
They do deserve recognition. I want to make sure they get it.
Thanks to those guys.
Good. Item number 15 is adjournment.
So many.
Second.
Can I have one other?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Tony Pons, my apologies. You brought coffee to him.
Yay!
We call.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 8:03. Before we start, I think we need to get with Kristen and see if the county's gonna do a presentation or whatever. Okay, then we'll hold tight, go ahead and start.
You want to go ahead? Okay. All right, what time is it? 8:03.
Like to
Okay.
call the City of Wagner regular business meeting, February 2nd at 8:03.
Okay, we will move to item number 3, approval or correction to the minutes of January the 2nd, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 4, approval or denial of claims. City to include numbers 128 through 152, manual warrants. EMS to include numbers 79 through 90, manual warrants. Economic Development Fund, numbers 36 through 41, and City Capital Projects, number 7.
What's 149 EDF transfer, FFA grant direct deposit? What kind of grant was that?
Did you say FAA grant?
Yeah, huh? Is that
That is the
airport?
grant we get to pay for the taxiway rehab.
Okay. All right,
And the money comes in, and it has to be transferred over to the other fund.
okay, and on EDF, number 37, signs for event, what event was that? For which event? So it's a sign we can reuse over and over, okay. And what about number 38, citywide property maintenance, abatement service, was that put out for bid, or we just picked somebody? Okay. And are we through with the museum now?
Any other discussion? Entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve all claims.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
No.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 5 is the mayor's report.
Handled that, Chairman.
Technically did that in.
Yeah, yeah, good to go.
Item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve supplemental appropriations and budget revisions to the 2023-2024 city and EMS budgets.
So move. So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Have a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 7, discussion and possible action to purchase employee health insurance.
So made.
Second. That is with staff
Staff
recommendation.
With staff's recommendation. Who was my second? I'm sorry.
Larry?
Larry.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 8, discussion and possible action to enter into an agreement for remote medical services.
So move with staff recommendation.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 9, discussion and possible action to purchase employee life insurance.
So move with staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 10, discussion and possible action to purchase employee vision insurance.
So moved with staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Motion second, please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 11, discussion and possible action to purchase employee dental insurance.
So moved with staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Have a motion second, please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 12, discussion and possible action. Police Department to end the probation period on employee Jordan Bailey, only I understand her name is Bailey Jordan. It's backwards on here. EMS to end the probation period on employee Justin Dickey. Note, the council may adjourn to an executive session for the purpose of discussing the above items pursuant to Title 25 OS Section 307B1.
I would like to recommend that we end the probationary period for Bailey Jordan, dispatcher for the police department. She has done a good job. She's gotten OLET certified. I would make this recommendation that it be for $14.68 an hour, which is no change, effective today's date, 2/5/2024.
Is she here?
Is she here?
Yeah.
No,
No.
she is
Okay.
not.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion second, please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Thank you.
You, sir.
And I'd like to recommend that we take Justin Dickey off of probation. His probation is doing a very good job for us. His rate will stay the same at $13.85, effective today, 2/5/24.
So move. Oh,
What?
I make a motion to end probation period on Justin Dickey, 1385-25.
I'll second.
Have a motion second, please call the roll.
Butler,
Yes.
Wagoner,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Higginbottom,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Thank you, Jim.
Item number 13, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve the revised engagement letter from Hood and Associates for audit of City of Wagoner records for the fiscal year ending 6/30/2023.
Go ahead.
As you know, our annual audit is underway, and the associates are the ones that are handling that this year. We originally signed for 27.5, and this revision is also that same amount. But what it does is it itemizes out our single audit that we expend $750,000 of federal funding. A single audit is required. So on the price of $27,500, that includes two major programs, and any additional programs beyond that is $30 each. With what we have, we expended about $1.5 million in federal this year, which is still what we originally thought. I foresee probably three major programs. In our budget, we actually have enough to cover for if that's so the case. So basically, the change is itemizing out the single audit on the pricing. The original audit is the same.
Questions? Discussion? Entertain a motion?
So made.
Second.
Have a motion second. Larry, where's your second?
Larry was, okay.
Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 14, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve an amendment to the service agreement with Kinetic by Windstream for internet services provided to the city. This is the same that was on Public Works.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 15, discussion and possible action to hold a public hearing for the appeal requested by Ann Golden for the condemnation by the City Council on December 4, 2023, on the structure located at 300 South Polk Avenue.
City staff is requesting that be tabled for 60 days. We were contacted by Richard Gray this afternoon, who is trying to attempt a quiet title to get this property into Ann Golden's name, so we can move forward one way or another. So we are requesting a 60-day table.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 16, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve contractor's pay request number 3 in the amount of $63,567.35 for WAG 23-05A 2023 Street Rehabilitation Project to H&G Paving Contractors per the recommendation from Infrastructure Solutions Group Consulting Engineers.
Questions, discussion?
Council, just an update real quick. Dale's not able to be here, but this is the third pay request. They do have everything about wrapped up. We like one street there behind Boomerang, which has been milled, should be overlaid and asphalted tomorrow, weather providing. We got good weather this week, so we'll probably have one more this next month for a fourth pay request and be finalized out with H&G Paving from that standpoint. As the agenda item states, our engineering firm has approved that, and staff recommendation recommends the pay of it as well.
And the fourth one, I know we've talked about it several times, but just to make clear for the record and everybody else, the fourth one will be after the fixes.
Yes.
Correct?
So
There's
moved.
still modifications of a few things that shall be done, but we hopefully will have that one over there.
Any questions?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll. Butler, yeah.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 17, discussion and possible action, development of vacant area in Pioneer Cemetery.
You wanna
Ladies
do
and
it?
gentlemen, if you guys will remember or recall this last month, I believe it was, it might have been the previous month, that we had an agenda item on there in regards to the Pioneer Cemetery about where the old restroom and stuff was, and dilapidated and falling down. We want to get you guys a blessing before we move forward, tearing that down and all that. That has been done and accomplished. What we need from you tonight is if you guys want us to continue to develop that vacant area, so we can add spots in there. I think we can put roughly 70, 80, 74, 70 some odd plots in that area, that southwest, southeast corner of Pioneer in there. So we just want to make sure that's the direction you guys want to go. There has been some question whether they want to leave an opening up for a drive if there's ever an expansion over there, but to date, there's never been any negotiation ability to acquire more land over there from that standpoint, and we're out of room in Pioneer. So
Thomas, did we ever figure out what it would, where it'd put us at if we left it open?
My belief is that we close it, just fill it up, we tried 2 or 3 different occasions to acquire more land, and it didn't happen. We're building a new cemetery. I say we fill up what we got and go to the new.
So you said roughly, we'll call it 75 if we close it in? 78?
78 if we take the whole portion, I believe.
We had a cemetery committee on that, and that's the reason why we require the extra land over there, because they wanted half of what we was burying people at.
That's
That's
even
why it's
more
like
now.
the same
Yeah,
price.
same
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
It's
and-
even
yeah,
more.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 18, discussion and possible action to have the clerk call the vote on motions in random order.
I got a problem with that now. Okay, we call certain people, but we didn't call the other people. Why we didn't call like me and Patrick? I was
Well,
wondering.
only needed 3 to get it on the agenda, but couldn't get a hold of Larry, but I apologize.
I just want to not be left out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will make sure you're included in that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Questions?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 19, discussion and possible action to approve or not approve invoice number 2 for taxiway rehab Phase 2 from Paragon Contractors LLC in the amount of $49,631.11 per recommendation from Garver Engineering.
So made. Second.
Any discussion? Have a motion and second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 20, discussion and possible action to accept donation of 6 swing sets and a wheelchair swing platform and approve locations.
So on this, if you noticed, when you came in tonight, there was this printed piece of paper. That is gonna be for the location at Dunbar. So we're looking at putting 2 swing sets at Dunbar, be on the northwest part. Kind of come off Northwest First right there. And then the other 2 would be on the west side of North Courts. And then the other 2 would be right there at pretty close to where the new ones just went up at Lincoln Park.
I don't know who picked the location for Dunbar and why we wanted it right there on that corner. Only thing I'm worried about is with the kids.
That's not in the corner, it's about right in the middle.
Middles.
Yeah.
So it's like you turn the corner and it's right there.
You go down, there's a house right in front of it, so
You
there's.
mean where
there's-
Christy Mallett lives?
Nope, be
Okay.
one house to the east of her,
Okay,
so it'd be kind of center in that block.
okay.
Is this gonna interfere with any of the
with the master plan that has already been provided, it is spot on where playground equipment should go. Staff recommends approval.
And I must say that, since we questioned at 20, this will conclude the whole 20,000. So if anybody got any questions, that concludes the whole 20,000 from last month that was being questioned.
Yes,
Okay,
two at
that's what I
Lincoln,
thought.
two at North Courts,
Okay, I
and
just
two
wanted
at
to make
Dunbar.
sure I had it down.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 21, discussion and possible action to purchase Discovery Center 2 from American Parks in the amount of $7,043, playground border for $42 per 4-foot piece, ADA ramps at $642 each from American Parks to be installed at toddler playground, swing areas, and Discovery Center 2.
So this, the Discovery Center 2 is part of the Lake Region grant. That's what that money was for. That does not have to be put together by a contractor. That kind of goes back to with the Cherokee Nation, their boots on the ground putting it in. That was the best quote, and that's who Mr. Peters uses quite often. Same with the border and the ramps.
Were these the only two quotes we got from American Parks and this other company?
Believe so. Go ahead. Oh, no, I'm sorry, there was a quote from Lowe's. Is that email not included?
I didn't see one from Lowe's.
No, we did have three.
There's no quote from Lowe's in here.
American Parks beat all three. Any further discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Sorry, who was my second?
Patrick.
Patrick, I'm sorry. Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
No.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 22, discussion and possible action to purchase mulch at $25 or less per cubic yard.
Discussion?
Gotta have most put the swing on, so moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 23, discussion and possible action to purchase 6 picnic tables from Oklahoma Correctional Industries for $530 per table.
Discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 25 is a discussion, presentation by Wagner County in regard to March 5th, 2024 ballot issues.
Yeah, Miss 24, the bike rack.
Oh,
Don't scare me.
what?
The bike rack.
Oh, it's not. How did I not get that?
Wanna borrow
Okay,
mine?
sorry. No, the bike rack. Sorry. I don't know how it's not on here.
It's on mine.
I got the wrong agenda. I did. Oh, okay, 24, to approve the location and installation of a bike rack at Lincoln Park. My apologies. I was trying to move ahead. I was going home.
Any discussion?
It is gonna be put in cement, right?
It will be, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagoner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Item number 25, discussion, presentation by Wagner County in regard to March 5th, 2024 ballot issues.
This is Miss Rachel Cooper. She is the county engineer. Could we give her one, please?
That's fine. Yes,
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's give you this microphone, Ms. Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
I would pass it to you, but. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, Mr. Mayor, councilors. I have given you some paper copies of a presentation that I've been giving for what feels like my entire life. But these presentation documents are regarding propositions that are placed on the ballot for March 5th by the Board of County Commissioners. There are 8 total propositions. I will go over each proposition and the details of that proposition. In addition to the details, I also have included several frequently asked question sheets at the back of the presentation. I'm happy to go over those at your discretion. There's quite a few questions and maybe some comments and things going around that might not be factually based, and the figures are in those frequently asked questions if you'd like to check those out. So the county propositions, to begin, I'll start with proposition number 8. This is a county lodging excise tax of 5%. This is a pay-if-you-stay tax. So the voters of Wagner County will be voting on something that they likely will not actually ever pay. It would be visitors to the county. The funds collected would be used for Wagner County to encourage, promote, develop, construct, maintain, repair facilities, trail access, and enjoyment of public spaces and other recreation throughout Wagner County. The tax applies to the furnishing of room or recreational vehicles at an RV park for the purpose of sleeping accommodations not to exceed 30 days. And so examples of that might be an Airbnb, a VRBO, a motel, a traditional bed and breakfast. Now, the city of Wagner already has a lodging tax. It would not be on top of that tax. It would only be in the unincorporated areas, and so it would not interfere with the operations of the city. And so the county does have a hotel, a resort, a conference center, and some VRBO, Airbnb type facilities that it would apply to, as well as some recreational vehicle parks. If you'll turn to the next sheet, I've got just an image of one of the gyms of the county. Many people here probably do know of it. It's the Jean-Pierre Chouteau Trail. The trail was established in the late 70s, and it is part of the McCullen-Kerr navigation system. It was formed by the Corps of Engineers, but fell into disrepair after about a decade. And so it's been unfunded and overgrown for a while. That's one of the recreational goals of the county, would be to reestablish that, bring people to the county, spend money here, eat here, spend the night here, and then also to improve our county recreational park.
Okay, on to proposition number 1. So the next few propositions are taxes that are currently in place today. So proposition 1 refers to a 0.8% county roads and bridges sales tax. This, again, it's in effect today. The proposition is to make that permanent. This is a vital infrastructure tax that's been in place since the 80s. It does comprise 68% of total road improvement and bridge revenue for the county commissioners. I've got a pie chart there from 2023, and you can see that each commissioner district brings in about $2.3 million in roads from this fund. And with the fund, it's about $11,500 a mile in funding. And if we were to lose that fund, the funding per mile would jump down to about $7,800 a mile. So it is a pretty important to the county commissioners, hence why they've placed it on this slate of propositions. Proposition number 2, on the next sheet, is a 0.1% sales tax for the Sheriff's Department Operational Fund. That, again, is a tax that's in place today, but the proposition is to make that permanent. Proposition number 3, same as the former, currently in place today. It is a 0.1% sales tax for County General Fund. The proposition is to make it permanent. This fund is for workers' compensation and liability insurance. In 2023, the county paid almost $705,000 in that expense, and so this fund is also very vital. Without this fund, we wouldn't have a dedicated revenue source for that obligation. In addition, permanency does allow for the sale of bonds for the accompanied use tax that is garnered from the sales tax. And so we've looked into in the past funding some special projects like road projects or even some of the propositions that you'll see that I go through here briefly. And we were advised that we're not able to sell those bonds because they will be bonded off of a temporary tax. And so one benefit of permanency, among many, is that permanency does allow for us to bond on special projects without having to take them to the vote of the people for an increase in tax. So that's just a side note for why they're being permanent. Okay, next sheet. Proposition number 4. This reallocates half of a 0.3% permanent fire tax to a countywide ambulance authority. The citizen tax dollars would be divided between 2 types of public safety needs. So in 2004, the county went to a vote for a 0.15% fire tax for 13 fire departments. In 2006, following the passing of the one from 2004, they went back to the people for another 0.15, also included the city of Broken Arrow in that tax, and proposed its permanency. Both passed, and today that fund brings in over $16,000 a month per fire department. The fire districts currently have garnered $3.6 million in reserve from that fund, and the fire districts are operating at approximately 50% of that fire tax appropriation. The fire districts expend funds today to train personnel and maintain operations. All the districts have their facilities in place. An ambulance service for unincorporated Wagner County would allow us to provide additional services that are already being provided by this great city, and then also the city of Coweta and the city of Broken Arrow. Proposition number 5. This is a new 0.125% temporary sales tax levy for the purpose of parking and pedestrian access to the courthouse. Many of you may know, there's a lot of faces I recognize, some that I don't. It's been a while since I've been over here. So in 2021, the city, the county, and the school district did a property exchange, a no-cost exchange. We did end up with the city block to which the courthouse sits. The city of Wagner ended up with our parking area, which we haven't really done anything with yet. And then the school district got some property over by the park. And so with that property exchange, I think everybody was pretty happy with that. But we don't have a parking area now, and people are still parking there, but at any time, the city of Wagner could come up with a plan to use that parking for something, and we wouldn't have any. And so this project is to provide needed parking and to reorient the entrance of the courthouse to the north side. And so it would eliminate the need for a mid-block crossing, and it would provide needed parking and pedestrian access to the courthouse. The proposal is a $10 million project that the goal would be to earn that in 30 years or less. It would provide 173 additional parking. I've also got some pictures in your handout here for a site plan of what the proposal is. And you can see the courthouse is on the bottom of the image. And then on the north side, you can see new entrance and circular drop-off location and parking on our property, both along Lee and Cassiver, and then in the city block there as well. The next sheet is just a zoomed-in image of that. And then I've got a couple of renderings on the following sheets of what our architect firm thinks they can make it look like. And it's a pretty attractive entrance and parking area. Proposition number 6 is a new 0.25% sales tax levy for the funding of a criminal justice authority. So in the state of Oklahoma, jails can be managed by a sheriff or they can be managed by a trust. Currently, Wagner County is managed by a sheriff. The Association of County Commissioners, there's a SIG-SIF board. This is a self-insured group, a self-insured fund, and they insure the counties. And we have a lot of law enforcement liability claims and things countywide, well, statewide, many counties. And due to the rising claims and all of the funding going into just defending counties and jails, a trust report was, a county jail and jail trust authority report was conducted and presented to that board. And 2 general things that they said would help to reduce liability would be to equip a properly trained professional staff held accountable by leadership that takes a more proactive approach. This is the first and best line of defense from excessive judgments. Additionally, a county general fund as a primary or even secondary source of funding may blur the lines of legal separation between the 2 entities. And so the idea would be that the sales tax of 0.25% would be to separate the funding streams of the Wagner County General Fund and the jail, and then to establish a trust to provide an additional legal separation. So you have a legal and financial separation between the 2, in order to just provide some liability protection between the citizens of Wagner County and any judgments. There are no county trusts, jail trusts, in the state of Oklahoma that have received judgments today. And so many sheriff-managed jails have. And so the idea is just to take a step in the right direction in liability protection. Okay, the next one, and final one, I believe, proposition number 7. This is a new 0.125% temporary sales tax levy for the funding of a Wagner County Fairgrounds. This is a $10 million facility with a tax goal of 30 years or less. Current fairgrounds is located in the city of Coweta. This new location would be along the Turnpike and State Highway 51, more centrally located in the county. The facility is proposed to be 75,000 square feet, and it will house the OSU Extension, exhibit areas, stalls, and arena and conference space. Our facility in Coweta is nearly 50 years old, greatly undersized. It's only about 15,000 square feet. And it's surrounded by residential neighborhoods, and there's not a lot of opportunity to expand there. And so with the help of the city of Coweta, we've gone through a no-cost property exchange to get a location out by the Turnpike and State Highway 51 to further this project. I've got some renderings for you, and then I also have a site plan of the sports park. This is on the south side of 51, east of the Turnpike, and the light blue area, that's 344 proposed parking spaces and a 75,000 square foot facility for the fairgrounds. In summary, the combination of 7 sales tax propositions will result in a permanent 0.25% sales tax and a temporary increase of 0.25%. The county is currently at 1.3%. This would increase to 1.8% for a maximum of 30 years, and then it would reduce back down to 1.55% in perpetuity. The combination of 8 propositions, if approved by the voters, will result in an investment in tourism, an investment in criminal justice via a new jail trust, an investment in county services, infrastructure and law enforcement, public safety via countywide ambulance, and investment into youth education and agricultural preservation. Like I mentioned, there are several frequently asked questions pages. I am happy to go through that if you all would like me to do that. If not, I leave them to you, and you can reach out to me or the Board of County Commissioners with any specific questions. We also have 2 additional town halls tomorrow and Wednesday. We have a town hall tomorrow in Broken Arrow at the Forest Ridge Glass Veranda, and then we have another town hall at the City of Broken Arrow School STEM Academy, and that's on Wednesday, both at 6 p.m.
Forest Ridge at 6 p.m. Wednesday?
Forest Ridge is 6 p.m. tomorrow, and then the STEM Academy is 6 p.m. Wednesday. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have some questions for you, Ms. Cooper.
Yes, sir.
So bear with me here. And I have the utmost respect for Commissioner Edwards. I consider him a dear friend and a mentor, but I'm also a fireman. So, did Wagoner County discuss this fire tax proposition with any other Wagoner County Fire Department before coming to the conclusion to cut the tax in half?
I can't confirm whether the Board of County Commissioners spoke with any fire department personnel.
Okay. Excuse me, Alan. Did Wagoner County talk to any Wagoner County EMS about this?
Wagoner County Board of Commissioners formed an ambulance authority, or ambulance committee, excuse me. And the committee did approach all cities that provide ambulance service in the county. Every city met with their city manager or equivalent at those cities. And at that point in time, we just asked to meet with them, and they could have invited anyone that they chose to invite. At the meetings with those cities, I was at one. I know that the commissioner and a couple of other representatives on the committee were here with the city of Wagoner and with the city of Coweta. Whether those cities invited their EMS directors, I don't know. When I was at the meeting with Broken Arrow, that did happen. We did meet with the fire chief there in that meeting. So there was attempts to consult with those cities, and they did meet with us.
Is there any idea who will be handling the EMS, what company?
So the EMS, if approved by the voters, would be managed through a Title 60 trust. And the proposal right now is to go out for a request to multiple companies to determine what would be the best fit for Wagoner County.
So it would not be a county ambulance service?
It would be a county ambulance service, but it would be under contract to begin with. This is the quickest way to get the service up and running. The commissioners have not ruled out an ambulance service that would have own employees, own vehicles, et cetera. That's still a possibility. In fact, they haven't ruled out any possibility of even funding and providing support to other ambulance services. Whatever would provide the most help to the most people, that's the interest of the Board of County Commissioners.
So how can Wagoner County volunteer fire departments have tax revenue sliced in half and still be expected to run on the EMS emergency calls?
Wagoner County fire districts are operating at 50% of their current appropriation. They have seen an increase in appropriations and operations gap over the last 5 to 10 years. That increase is not due to inflation. Sales tax and inflation are directly proportional. Every time there's an increase in cost, there's an increase in sales tax. That's the beauty of sales tax. The gap between operations and appropriations is the volume of sales has increased in Wagoner County. This gap is great. It's a great thing. We are so thrilled to have a growing county. It gives the opportunity for the county to provide additional public services at a savings to the taxpayer.
I believe, and I have it somewhere further on, that you showed the numbers, and over the last 4 years is on a slideshow that you presented one of your town hall meetings. The fire departments were at 90%, 60%, 77%, and last year we're at 54%.
I have that slide in your packets, counselors, and it's more than just four. I did update it because I had been criticized not to provide enough data. So I provided additional data. It goes back to 2015, and you can see that operations expenses have ranged from 1.2 to 1.9 million over 2015 to 2022. And over that time, you see some fluctuation, but overall a widening in operations and appropriations gap.
So how can you predict the spending will continue to fall?
The only way to predict the gap and the spending is historical data. The sales tax has increased over the last 10 years by 7% year over year. In the last 5 years, that increase is averaged to be 10% year over year. And the signs are that it's only going to continue to increase.
I understand your numbers, but just like your last town hall meeting when the gentleman from Cherokee County and even Muskogee County EMS said that you can't throw numbers at emergency response services.
I can only operate on facts and statistics. I know that there's been comment about there being a one eye or something. I don't know what that means, but the figures are here that there's a widening in appropriations and operations, and that's what the commissioners are operating from. They see an opportunity to take citizens' tax dollars and to spread it to multiple services. And I've also added some slides in here regarding ambulance service and just some of our statistics related to where we are in our population versus ambulance statistics and square miles per ambulance. Between Muskogee County, Creek County, Tulsa County, and Mays County, Wagner County has the greatest population per ambulance. In square miles per ambulance, Wagner County is top 3. The proposition would improve that greatly and take Wagner County down anywhere to the bottom, well, top, I guess if you look at it, the lowest population per ambulance and lower population of ambulance per square mile. That's an overall cost savings for all ambulance services. So it improves every ambulance service's cost, and it improves ambulance response time by reducing the population per ambulance. These are all figures that I've just added. I didn't have them in there before, but because of the information that was requested at these meetings, I've added it. It's an overall benefit to all EMS to provide additional ambulances. I even included a slide that talked about some of the red operations of our ambulance services. And I just think it's important to focus on the fact that our two principal EMS providers, City of Wagner and City of Quita, are both operating in the red. By adding an additional ambulance service, it's going to reduce the burden and spread it across multiple. How so, sir?
Well, I ran the numbers with our accountant just 2 weeks ago.
So adding additional ambulances is not going to benefit.
We're not running in the red.
I have your report from 2021 that says you're 42,000 in the red.
We went over the numbers the other day. She said it was sustainable. We're not.
It was from your website. So City of Wagner 2021, $42,000 in the red for EMS. That's 2021 budget results.
Go ahead.
I got a question. It might be.
Yes, sir.
As far as how much funding would you have if this proposal goes through? How much money would you have to do the operations for the contractor service?
Right. So for year one, the proposition would bring in approximately 1.35 million, and then considering the growth rate of 7 to 10%, that would increase year over year. Okay. That's proposed to fund between 2 and 4 ambulances, probably on the lower side. 2 ambulances to 3 ambulances would be a great result.
So 1.35, and that's for the county to buy those ambulances, or is that utilizing that money to contract?
Right.
A ambulance out, and they provide their own ambulances and maintenance and stuff like
Right. So that's a good question. So right now, the proposal is that the county would seek to contract to get the ambulances going as soon as possible. But the Board of County Commissioners they're open to running their own. They're open to aiding and funding existing ambulance services to get additional ambulances operating. We know that both of our primary ambulance services have ambulances that are not staffed. Those are all things that are on the table. Whatever is going to get the most service to the most people, that's what they want to do.
And the reason, because I mean, there's been, obviously, it's been a hot topic or whatnot as far as this. I guess what I'm getting at is that in the event this doesn't go through, are you guys willing to go to the table and actually utilize that $1.35 million to allocate that money to is it Rolling Hills and putting another ambulance service there, or they do even have one? EMS rolling? You don't have an EMS at your? Not under contract. But I'm saying, like, as far as, strategically putting them out there, so, because from my understanding, if it doesn't go through, because this tax goes out in 28 or something like that?
This one's already permanent, so.
It's permanent, so this right here is permanent. So I know the other ones some of them are 28 or whatnot.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Yeah, if this proposition is not approved by the voters, the fire departments will continue to be funded at their current operating level, and there is no room to fund ambulance because it is not in their original 2004 and 2006 proposition language. It would be illegal to operate an ambulance with those funds. That's why this proposition is being presented, is because the only way to direct funds for ambulance is to rewrite the proposition to allow for that.
Okay, and that's what I was trying to figure out if it can't be rewritten because it's already.
Right, it's a vote. It takes a vote of any change takes a vote of the people. Yep, yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
But a firefighter, you can have paramedics like firefighters, like Broken Arrow run the fire trucks and they have paramedics.
So there's I think there's a lot with that, and I'm learning, and I'm sure these firefighters back here are throwing darts at me right now, but they cannot transport patients. So they are first responders, but they cannot transport patients. So they can provide certain levels of care. EMR is what they are, emergency medical responders, but they are not able to transport patients to a hospital in an emergency. So they can get there, they can render aid, which is great. We all are very appreciative of our fire departments. There, in no way does the Board of County Commissioners think anything but the greatest fire departments are in Wagner County. But the idea is to be able to provide transport to hospital, emergency transport in the form of an ambulance.
And I think I get what you're saying. So if because I know there's firefighters that are basic EMTs and they have certifications that they can do that. So, because most of them are cross-trained pretty much, right, where they can do that. So you're saying that if they have those certifications or whatnot, they cannot transport?
Right, they cannot put people on a fire truck and take them anywhere.
I mean, but can't you get to one of, like the Broken Arrow, like a fire truck ambulance,
Well, see, Broken Arrow Fire Department and ambulance are in the same organization.
Oh, okay.
So that's a little different.
It's different, Gayla.
Okay.
That's a little different, yeah.
So another issue is, and it was at your last town hall meeting, a question was asked to the Muskogee EMS director about the contract for EMS services to be emergency only and not do transfers. He responded, there is no money in emergency response and they could only survive doing transfers where the money is made. How will you ensure that these ambulances will be present for emergency responses so there is an additional response delay?
Right, that is true. Transfers are where the money is made. And so when in a contract, they'll have to negotiate with these providers to ensure that there's always an ambulance, or as many as possible, minimum of one, but at most two, hopefully, around the area at all times, even in the event that they're transferring somebody. I realize, ambulances do transfer. I believe City of Wagner transfers, Muskogee EMS transfers. The only service that I've met with in the last 5 months is the City of Coweta that no longer transfers. Transfers are where the money is made. That's how they make their money. Figures that I've been given are for every dollar spent for an EMS, they can get back between 35 and 45 cents on the dollar. And transfers make up that gap. And so they would be operating in the red without a good, strong sales tax or ad valorem tax and transfers. So transfers are part of the recipe. We would just have to ensure that the contract served Wagner County. We care about emergency response. And so transfers will be part of it, but we will ensure that there are ambulances on site.
How many ambulances do you plan on having?
Between 2 and 4, depending on these contract amounts.
So if we do 2 and one's on transfer the whole time, we're gonna take 50% of the sales tax from the fire department for 1 ambulance?
Ambulances are very expensive. I recently got a quote, so 8 ambulances. That's 50 staff plus another 15 part-time. That is a significant amount of people, human resources, and equipment. An ambulance can cost $500,000 plus additional equipment. There is huge costs that go with an ambulance service. I cannot tell you how disappointing it is to hear that 2 or 3 ambulances, or maybe 4 if we're lucky, will be what we can fund in year 1. But every year that sales tax increases, every year that goes up 7 to 10%, will be the opportunity for us to grow the ambulance service.
Ms. Cooper, I believe they're wanting to build an ambulance barn, as you call it, where TNT Archery was on Highway 51.
It's already there. It's just,
Yeah.
it would have to be built out. But yes, there is 2 spots there for 2 ambulances right now.
How would that make sense to house 2 ambulances there, and we have a ambulance call it Toppers or Whitehorn or Taylor's Ferry?
Right. So right now we have 5 ambulances, 2 in Wagner, sometimes 1.5 in Wagner, 2 in Coweta, 1 in Broken Arrow. And our response time to those lake areas are terrible. I mean, we just can't get out there. It's not the part of the EMS. I'm not throwing stones at them. It's just we don't have enough in service. The more ambulances we put in service, the more opportunity we will have to get those ambulances responding as quickly as possible. It is the goal of the Board of County Commissioners to put an ambulance out at the lake areas. That is the goal. But sales tax takes time to grow, and as it grows, ambulances will be added.
How was it decided that the fire department's budget would be cut?
It was just discussed in multiple meetings, and it was put on the ballot, or a proposition was put on the ballot the 18th of December. Many meetings, many discussions with staff and elected officials.
So you're just praying there won't be a lot of fires, picking up bodies?
Well, no, ma'am, because the numbers show that their operating budget is at 50% of the appropriation. There will be no operational impact.
So, I think we've, because I forgot what meeting I was at one of them. So, and I think you mentioned that before, was it pre-COVID or whatnot, they're appropriated, what, 6 to 8?
$8,000 to $9,000.
$9,000?
Yep.
And then from there, it went from 9 to 16?
Yeah, very quickly, yep. So there was a 4%, 17%, 9%, and 9% growth annually, year over year. So that's 4 years in a row, averaging about 10% total of sales tax growth. And that, you can see that on the slide, it shows their appropriation grew immensely. There's a lot of people saying that by approving this proposition, that the citizens of Wagner County would be cutting their fire department's legs out from under them. That is not true. Their operations budget is still going to be maintained if this passes by the citizens of Wagner County.
What if this causes fire departments to fold up? Now, the city of Wagner's would be fine because it's a municipality, but if that folds up, now you just increased ISO ratings for insurance for other people.
Yeah, as I just said, sir, this, if approved by the people, will not encroach on their operational budget.
How will this affect you, Kelly? How will this affect your department?
Very, very, very in the negative. I disagree with so much, and I have respect for it, but I'm telling you, if I approached a fire like that or an incident, I'd be dead. You know, if I approached it and said, you know, this is what it looks like, let's just go in and knock it out, go in the place, explodes on you, that's what it'd be like. You know, when they say that it will not affect us, the problem with that, I gave the quote of the one eye shut, because you can look at numbers and that's fine. But if I looked at a number and then said, hey, why are your numbers like this? And you go, well, I'm saving up. What are we purchasing right now? A new truck. We purchased a new tanker.
We bank our money.
We're also saving up for SCBA's, which run us about middle, $8,000 a piece, and minimum we would buy would be 24. So if you knock us back to $8,000 a month and we want 24 SCBA's, how long is that going to take us to save that money? 24 months. $8,000 for a reason. Now, every year they grow at like 6 to 8%, something like that, Mercy Equipment. In fact, it's went up more. If you look at Whitehorn, they're purchasing our tanker off our specs. How much more are they paying? A little bit over a year. So a little bit over a year, they're paying $70,000 more. You know, there is cost of living, inflation, and then there's inflation on emergency equipment. And asked a person that was here before this existed and started the first one and the second one. We started the first one. We seen right then by other counties that it wasn't going to be enough to really do what we wanted it to do. That's when we pushed for it to double and make it permanent. And it done just what we wanted it to do. If there's not many of you here that was here back then, we ran rescue from Quita Turnpike all the way to the Arkansas River. Most fire departments were shut down half the time or their equipment didn't work. We ran on that. And so they didn't come and ask me. They looked at the numbers, and that's great. I consider that one eye closed when you don't ask a question to somebody, why are your numbers like that? And I get phone calls to help do inspections in the county. I've been out to help do inspections. I've been out in Worcester Roads myself with the tanker for county people, being called by the commissioners, but I didn't get one phone call on this. They didn't want to ask because they didn't want the answer they were going to get. They knew what type of answer they were going to get, and they didn't want it. And even the state today on the news, the state had a meeting where they're talking about cutting state tax. You know why our politicians don't want to do it? What are they expecting in the next 3 years? A downturn.
I'm guessing this would cut you from having to buy that pumper truck, right?
No,
we
got a bank. What he's getting at is, like used to, we were the only one with jaws of life around.
Yes.
So we had to run all over the turnpike, all over.
Yes.
Well, now, because of this tax, Wagoner County is extremely fortunate. What I mean by that is 6 years ago, I went to Bartlesville on a grass fire. Wagoner County sent a strike force with probably 65 men, probably 20-something grass trucks, a few engines, and a few tankers, and we still felt comfortable enough that home was taken care of. We could not do that without this tax. And if you take half of that away, it is going to cut our legs out.
And if I can, our city manager here can tell you, how do we look at taxes? But they're guaranteeing that they're coming. Do we ever do that? We don't ever look at when we do our budget, we run at the bare minimum on that. We don't say, hey, next year we're good. We can do this year because we're good next year. Do we ever do that in our budget meetings?
We couldn't afford the pumper or the engine that we just got.
And I have one more, and I'll let you go back. What would this raise our taxes to in the city of Wagoner?
10.3 or something like that?
10.3, I believe.
Yeah, it's on the slide. It would go to 10.3.
10.3 in Wagoner. So we have the potential for our taxes, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
And the council, you okay?
I'm okay.
We have our taxes to go to 10.3 with the tax raise. We're going to take half of the county budget from the fire department. If we need that money, who's going to have to make it up?
The city of Wagoner.
I know that we have all kinds of stuff we're looking at. We're working on our parks like crazy. We're doing all kinds of stuff. What is that going to affect?
It's going to affect our budget.
It's going to affect our budget. And when
Half of
somebody
that's
tells
going to
you
come out
that
of our budget.
I'm going to take, 190-something thousand, half of it, so $80,000, so $80,000, I'm going to take $80,000 from you. Is that going to affect the budget?
Drastically.
So,
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Did you guys anticipate or go over when you was going through this whole situation of trying to create an ambulance service in the county, seeing how successful your fire county has been over the years? Why did you not create, or did you have the discussion of creating a separate funding source for that purpose?
Yeah, so those conversations.
Looks like would have been the optimal conversation to.
So those conversations were had. What was evident to the commissioners was that our sales tax is very healthy, that our fire departments were very healthy, and that we could take a public service fund and provide a needed public service without raising the taxes for the citizens. This was a financially responsible decision by the Board of County Commissioners, and an ambulance service is greatly needed. That's their opinion on that.
Mayor, I have one more thing that's kind
Go
of
ahead.
misleading. You said on the 2 to 4 ambulances, okay?
Yes, sir.
Monday night at your meeting, your town hall meeting, I asked your EMS person that was there to answer questions. I said that private services, they have the first thing they do every morning, and Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they look for transfers. That's the first thing they do. They look for transfers, that's the way they make their money. Now, if you restrict them from doing transfers, that's gonna eat up more of that money. If you restrict them anyway from doing transfers, and I asked the EMS person, I think from Muskogee,
Yeah, Mr. Havens would have been there
okay,
Monday.
Monday night, I asked him, I said, if you restricted the EMS units from doing transfers, just keep them for emergency, which is really what we need. Wagner, we do them, but we don't hunt them. If we get one, we get it. If you do that, I said, how long is that tax they're predicting? How long would that run it for? I said 4 to 5. What did he say?
Yeah, but I mean, what you said was if this contract included 0 transfers, how long would this funding last? And he said 6 months. But like I said previously, I mean, transfers are part of the recipe. You can't eliminate it. You just have to manage it for a contract that best serves the county.
If you restrict it, you're not going to get the 4 ambulances. If you could only fund 2, and we gave the number of 2. Am I correct? I gave the number 2. How would it fund 2 ambulances? He said 6 months, so 2. So now if you even restrict it, if you don't have the run volume there, they charge you more because they're there to make money. And so that's numbers. Did the county even ask them, say, hey, if we restrict your runs, your transfers, how much will that go up?
The county has had conversations with private providers. I can't answer all the details of that, but they have had those conversations.
But that night, there was Commissioner Edwards was there. He didn't say anything about it when I asked the question. He didn't say, hey, we got numbers on that, and it's this. Nobody said anything. But the guy answering that, he said that. And then Quita who's the EMS guy there that night?
So it would have been the deputy from Muskogee
That
EMS.
was the deputy from Muskogee, and I asked him that question. What's the first thing they do when they come in the morning? Private service. They call for that. And so, if we ended up with 2 ambulances, and 1 ran transfers, and the other one was there, that would add one to our deal for what are we gonna collect, 1.3?
1.35 year one.
1.3 yearly. So it's taking that away from fire departments. Now, I know you ran numbers, you said last week there was a couple of times it took over 40 minutes to.
No, it was 9 times that took over 50 minutes in the last year.
Okay, in that research, did you ask them if there was any medical people there before the EMS arrived?
So but you're not.
You said the last year.
Yes, so 9 in the last year, and then over 30 minutes was like 45 calls over 30 minutes.
But I thought in Quita that you said just in the past week or so there was a couple that.
I would have just made an error on that, but it's on the slide as a year.
But I'm saying that when you made your announcement there, where people's listening, you had an error because.
Well, you're accusing me of falsely misleading people. I mean, I might make a Freudian slip, but to say that I would intentionally mislead people, Chief, I mean that's not right.
I just asked if that was what you said.
No, I don't recall, but on the slide, it's 45 times greater than 30 minutes and 9 times greater than 50 minutes. And the point is that the coverage area for Wagner EMS is immense. It is causing these long response times. Fire cannot transport citizens to the hospital. An ambulance is needed.
But there's not one person who's going to grab in this room that ambulance is needed.
Right. It's just that
we can't stabilize them. And you can talk to us, and we can tell you.
No one's questioning your ability to do first response. That's great.
When you take money away from something that's working real good, you can look at it and say, that's doing great, so let's take money away from it. And you can't say it's not going to drop the service down of that service. You can't say it's not going to affect that service because you can't see the future. Just like you can't see the future that the tax is going to stay at that level. We never plan on the tax staying at that level. We never do. Do we ever? This is somebody that points it out to us all the time. That tax is never guaranteed. And even the state's looking at it down.
Municipality in Oklahoma, we're the only state in the union that's funded on state on our sales tax.
Sales tax is a powerful tool.
We go into a depression tomorrow, and you've taken 50% of our fire department's fund.
And added our tax to 10.3.
What's that going to do to us? Moving on, who's going to be on this Wagner County Ambulance Authority?
The Board of County Commissioners will appoint members to the trust.
So, okay.
So nobody has told me who's going to be there yet. The trust hasn't been formed yet. You know, it's the chicken or the egg. You know, without the county voting to approve it, there's no sense of forming the trust. So they will appoint members to the trust if this proposition is passed March 5th.
So I have a huge issue myself with the indebtedness. Can you explain exactly what that is?
I'm sorry, somebody's talking. I couldn't hear your comment. You had an issue with
indebtedness on the proposition?
indebtedness.
Indebtedness?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. How are you going to go with that, with the proposition?
I don't understand.
You talking about how it's worded?
How it's worded, yes.
So the proposition language was approved by a bonds attorney. I mean, what is the issue with the language?
What does that mean? I mean, how do...
Indebtedness. You mean indebtedness?
Sure, yeah.
So I did address that in the frequently asked questions sheet in there because someone had asked that. I think it was the chief had asked that on Tuesday or Wednesday. So he did address the bondsman. I did call him about that. And I said, there was a question, I wasn't able to answer that, about indebtedness in the language of the proposition. And he said because it would be a newly formed trust, a newly formed entity with no assets, no anything, that what that language means is that if passed, the trust, could go into debt and any future earnings could be paying against that debt. It's not regarding any debt that the county would have right now, which they have none, but if they did, it would not be possible for that. He said it's only regarding the purposes of the proposition at the time that it were passed. If we went into debt to, say, buy an ambulance or make modifications to the facility or whatever, we could then use those funds to pay off that debt.
So my next question, that's the only, on all those propositions, that's the only place that's used correctly?
Sure, I don't know. It might be on the jail trust proposition. You should check that one because that's a new entity too.
I think it is on the jail.
So the two new entities have that language.
I just have a few other things. Anybody else?
So I think you've touched on. I just want to clarify. So you're saying we can't. So the proposition or the language in there is already set. You can't change the language as far as in this proposition.
That's correct.
You cannot change it.
That's correct. It's on the ballot. It's already done. It's already been out. There's been some ballots, mail-in ballots, or absentee ballots. Those have already been out. Yep.
And so one more thing, I guess you're probably looking, but I think I've seen in here, so if it goes through, you're going to take half, you guys are going to take half of the money that's already allocated that's in these funds. So is it I think I've seen some $3.25 million in there in the bank right now?
$3.6 million in reserve in the 14 fire departments.
And then you'll take maybe half?
No, that won't be touched. That will stay. Can't touch it.
It's already.
Yep, that's right. Yep, so it'll remain there.
Moving forward, they can move forward from the vote.
Right.
When you can.
And actually, sir, you just reminded me a comment about if there was a special purchase or maybe a fire department was not doing as well as some others because there are some that are solely sales tax funded. The Board of County Commissioners, in the language from the 2004 and 2006 propositions, they are authorized to move money. So not money in the account, but future appropriations. So like if, let's say, City of Wagner needed a special purchase or something, and maybe another department had a bunch of extra money in the bank, or maybe they got some other funding, the Board of County Commissioners, they could easily move money to a department that needed it for a special purpose.
Could they move?
Where would it come from?
It would come from the appropriation.
What part of the appropriation?
Any part. So if you read section 23 of the 2006 proposition, it says that the Board of County Commissioners has the authority to basically do administrative changes. Fairness and efficiency, I think, is the specific language. But that can take funds that would be like, let's say they're currently evenly distributed, but that's not necessary. If there was a need, there could be an uneven distribution between departments.
So in that theory, you can take money from us too.
No, it wouldn't come from you. It'd be appropriations. Your accounts would not be touched. It would be like.
No, you just said you can take money from another
Just,
So from appropriations, yeah, so not your bank account, that's done. I just mean like, yeah, so like, right now, 16,800 or so averages per district, and that's just divided evenly. But let's say something catastrophic happened at a department, and they needed additional money. Maybe they had a fire at their facility, or maybe a tornado or something knocked it all down, destroyed all their stuff. The Board of County Commissioners has the authority to modify appropriations from even distribution to need, and that could be done by a resolution.
Where's that at?
Section 23, and it's also in the proposition language from the 2004, just in the main language. Yes, sir, I'm sorry, I may have cut you off.
So with that, can they only use that money for emergency response services?
They can only use it for fire, yes, only fire, what's outlined in those propositions, yes. They couldn't move it for no, nothing else, only fire, yes, sir.
Go ahead, Jim.
I just had a statement. We're saying we have $3.5 million in the bank. If you divide that up amongst all 14 fire departments, they can each buy half a fire truck. $250,000 to finish that half a fire truck. So it sounds like a lot of money, but when you look at it like that, they can't even get a new truck.
Ms. Cooper, correct me if I'm wrong, and I've just been told this, I haven't know for sure, but in one of these propositions, does that include a raise for yourself?
No, sir.
Okay. So.
No need.
When John Wagner, I can't remember the company he's with, but gentleman you had reach out to me.
So I Tomahawk Strategies is the company that's marketing for these propositions, and it's an educational campaign. It's the potential of John Fritz or Josh Wagner might have spoken to you on the phone.
Yeah, he called me wanting to go on camera and pretty much endorse it.
Really?
Yeah, and
you probably said no way.
Well, I had a good conversation with him. But he pretty much ended the conversation with saying fire and PD are one of the biggest underfunded departments in the nation, while he's wanting to take half of their.
Well, he's just hired for an educational campaign. I mean, he's not I wouldn't consider him a rule. You know, he's not an expert on this. So I appreciate his comments, but definitely not a rule.
That is,
you said something about in that article that you can appropriate money for a need.
Yeah, so I think it says specifically fairness and efficiency. Yes.
Well, and since I've been here, since that went on, had a couple DA opinions on that. I know that we put that in there in case the fire department went out.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
In case the fire department went out, but we had a discussion with the DA years ago. And the commissioners get 5% of that?
No.
Well.
No, the fire trust gets 5%.
The commissioners one that formed the fire trust.
So the commissioners do not get to utilize any fire trust funds.
The commissioner are in control of that money, and they form the fire trust and let the fire trust have that 5% to put towards ISO ratings and stuff like that.
So no, you're wrong about that. The commissioners have no control of that money. We've already got legal opinion on that. We can't even do audits out of that money.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
You said the commissioners have control of that money. They do not.
They control what board controls. They made the trust authority.
Yeah, it's in the proposition. Now it's law.
And they put that. And we used to receive, what's that other tax you talked about from the sales? Huh? Use tax.
Yeah, use.
We used to get the use tax off of that too, and they did take that and moved it towards emergency management. I think the use tax part. The commissioners is one. They have our people on that board have to be approved by the commissioners, and the commissioners gave them that 5% to use that money to do ISO and stuff like that. And the one DA told us that they could take that 5% and help a fire department out. They could use that money. Like
the trust board could, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the command of the commissioners. Commissioners say, hey, this is what we want done, and the board
That's not the legal opinion that I've received.
Well, this was back years ago. But
Oh,
they're saying
okay.
They had control over that because, they were looking an issue we had with the trucks,
and the commissioners were saying we had to do it a certain way, and when the DA looked at it, he said, no, he said, that 5% they can use, but that other in there was not for you to take, like if I overspend money, I spent too much money now I need more money, so commissioners take it from their part of the tax from another fire department and give it to them. That's really what you would be doing.
Well, so I mean, I understand what you're saying, but the attorney opinion that we've gotten is that that language in section 23 means that if there is some reason to redistribute unevenly,
yes,
that can be done by resolution by the Board of County Commissioners as stated in that section.
Kelly, does the age of equipment affect ISO rating?
Yes, to a point.
So,
As long as, we run our test on our equipment every year, just like our old ladder truck we had. The old ladder truck always passed ladder tests and always passed pump tests, And the guy was always funny because he said he'd go to Oklahoma City and they'd have 2 or 3 fail and ours would pass. He thought it was funny. And it's most time it's a lot of small things why they pass, but the age of the trucks do affect it because they just wear out, over years. So we try to replace one. We would like to do it every 10 years, but unfortunately the way we're funded now, we can't do that. It runs, one was 2007 and this one's 2007 when we bought engine 1. And now we're at 2024 and we're buying the next one, so look how far we pushed that engine. Most places, they don't like to go over 10 years. Unfortunately, with the funds we have, saving money not to pay interest, this is where we're at, and we did buy a new tanker too, and our new tanker's a lot older than that.
which we bank that money so we don't have to take out loans
For interest.
for
We don't
interest
pay
rate. So, you also use this money for maintenance,
Yes.
so
We try to keep $100,000 in our bank account, and I've had that discussion with the council before, we try to keep 100. We had an engine go out that time, we spent right at 20-something thousand, and then we had turbo went out as another one. If we have a pump goes out, that's 30,000, so we could have a couple issues in 1 year and go through what we keep as reserve, as $100,000.
So if we can't fix our equipment and ISO comes and does their inspection, our equipment's not running.
We're in trouble. And I'm just saying, I know they can throw every number at you want, but if you don't talk to the people that's using them numbers, you don't have the whole picture of it. And that's,
Kevin?
Anybody in this room, do you think that's different? If you don't, if you look at a number and don't talk to the people that's doing the job, how can you get the whole picture of what's going on?
There's plenty of people in this room don't like me, but I know, Kevin, you had a house fire, did people go in it from SCBA's?
Yeah.
Were you inside? Or just a cat or something, I believe?
For about 30
Animal?
seconds.
Yeah. Well, if you was asleep, would you want me or Dalton or somebody coming in there with the best equipment we have? I mean, a 30-minute pack and a 45-minute pack make a world of difference in the fire services.
When did this get decided, that y'all wanted to do this?
The propositions were voted on by the Board of County Commissioners December 18th, but the ambulance committee has been established for more than a year. And discussions about ambulance have been going on for decades.
I was talking about the article or whatnot, and you said about the need, the language in there. So, again, you can't allocate some of that money because there is a need. I guess we're establishing a need that there needs to be ambulance service. So that can't be allocated for one of the other departments so they can have an EMS service, or?
That's true. The proposition doesn't allow for that.
The proposition doesn't allow for that.
Right, the propositions currently today, so the new proposition that's on the ballot does allow for that. That's the whole purpose of it.
Copy.
Yep. Any more questions, counselors, Mr. Mayor?
I think everybody agrees that we want more ambulances, Ms. Cooper, absolutely. Our fire tax is set up amazingly. It works
Yeah, it works very well. There's no question about that.
fantastically.
Yep,
I'm a firm believer in it.
yep.
And I think if we take half of it away, it will not.
Well, I'll just have to disagree with you, and so will the Board of County Commissioners on that, just based on the facts, so.
Would that be the whole board?
Well, so does majority rule here in the city of Wagner?
You said the board.
It is a board action, sir.
You said though, the board of county
Yep,
commissioners.
that's right.
Is for everybody.
That is the board action, sir. Does majority rule here in city of Wagner?
It does.
Right, so the majority rules in the county of Wagner as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Ron, I'm sorry, they're a little out of order, but they're all here.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Take it easy. 26.
Okay, sorry, I gotta get this back in here. Sorry. Number 26 is unscheduled public appearances.
We're not.
There were none. Item number 27 is departmental reports.
It's all good.
Can I give mine? Oh, I'll follow.
Step up to the plate.
Can I give my departmental report?
I figured you'd be happy. Less heat on you.
They're gonna put that in there. Tell me.
Kelly had a little more. force here.
I have been making the town hall meetings. Probably not welcome at town hall meetings. I'll be at the one tomorrow night too. And I get to asking some of the same questions because, you know, January, I think it's January the 8th, you can go listen to the commissioners meeting. And you can go to the Tomahawk strategies when they're doing theirs and listen to that. And you'll hear, I think it's a DA representative there, when they talk to him about signing a contract, he says that from the presentation that Tomahawk gave, Tomahawk's just supposed to be educational. That's legally, they can only do educational. But, you know, if I had 5 books to teach somebody something, but I only gave you one, how much would I be teaching? You know, if I left math and social studies out, how much would you learn?
So you're meaning that because it's taxpayers' dollars, they can't they can do it for informational only, and they can't sway back or either.
They'll be educational, but if you listen to that assistant, the DA, whoever he was in there that day, when they asked him to sign a contract, he says that listening to their presentation in there, he goes, well, I'm just telling you, from what I heard here today, somebody could see this as you pushing this one way. You know, and that's in their presentation. What matters is what comes out in that deal, and they're gonna send 10,000 of them out. 4 different times, they're gonna send text messages out. I don't know if anybody received one today. They say they're real long. You know, they're sending that out. And the people that sits on their committee, we ask questions to, and they did not give the answers that they wanted to hear. You know, and every one of us is for more ambulances. But if you're gonna spend that much money and take it from the fire department, that the majority of time when EMS is not available, you know who's on that scene? Stabilizing people?
I do.
Fire department. They're on that scene. And a lot of times, some of them calls is either a mistake with dispatch or ambulance not going back into service, because we've had some where we called, the ambulance was sitting at the station, and they tried to call somebody else from out of town. You know, and we go, hey, we got an ambulance there. Oh, we messed it up, you know, so some of them calls like that is just where we're not getting the information we need. So there's things we can work on. But, for me personally, I think this would be, eventually it would be devastating to our fire department.
Yep.
And we ran that money quite well, and I know Ken Hicks, he's probably sitting back there going, told you. Because Ken always told me, spend every dime of it every month. Don't keep a penny in there, they're gonna come try to get it. And so they're not taking what we have in the account, but they can take our tax money. And to me, 10.3%, that could cost people not to buy here in Wagner, especially
Absolutely.
large purchases.
Absolutely.
When you take it, that we're taking money from our fire department that the city has to make up.
Well, not only not to shop here, but
Yes.
if we want to push a sales tax.
We don't have a chance.
future, it ain't gonna go.
You know, to something that, as our accountant has pointed out, that's really not gonna benefit our EMS. You know, and I don't have the issues, it's just, they'll tell you that they had an EMS committee, weren't you on it?
No.
Were you on it?
And they said they had an EMS committee, and they met one time, and Ms. Cooper in that first meeting said, the fire department has money, why don't we take that? And they never met again.
And I did ask her at Aquita. I asked her that at Aquita. I said, in a meeting, did you sit in that meeting and look down and say, hey, these fire departments have all kinds of money, let's take it? She said, yes, I did. And so, you know, I wasn't saying that she gave that misinformation on purpose, but when you sit there and you've got a group of people and you're in a town hall meeting and you say that in the last week there was 4 calls or something like that, that was over 40 minutes, and you don't correct it, well, them people in that town hall meeting, do they know that now, that you misspoke? They're telling people that happened. Anything else from the fire department?
We call county 911 dispatch, and in the county, our average response time is 11 minutes. And
Yeah.
they said in that meeting, Mr. Henry said, well, I have information on my phone that's in the dispatch center's office.
I think a lot of them missed calls is going to the county 911, and they ask you 99,000 questions, and all they need to do is dispatch the person to the address. And I swear to God, I had a neighbor, and he was over there dying, and I had my mom called. She wanted to know the name, how old he was, what's your name, what's your phone number, what's your address, what's your date of birth. It probably was 10 minutes. Then they took forever to get, to dispatch you guys, and all they did was cross the street. And then we had to call back and ask them why they didn't send nobody. So it's the county. Dispatch.
That gets me is they stated that they didn't want to raise taxes to provide an ambulance. They want to use existing, but they want to raise taxes to go to parking.
Keith, and if you notice the question I asked, why? You want to take from a successful one, why don't you create a funding source, create another successful? That's the direction in my opinion.
I don't know what you've seen on the slides, from
the previous, yes.
a nice parking lot.
That's a nice parking lot. Drop, circle drive,
If I
drop off.
understand what they're saying, historically, the ambulances used to be run by the funeral home.
You're right.
Mallets, Hirschman, they ran the ambulance. They got out of the business, and so the hospital took it over. And the hospital got out of the ambulance business. And so the city, and so we were gonna be without an ambulance. So we begged the county to go with us and form a county-wide ambulance service. They would not talk to us about that. So we formed our own ambulance service, and we fund our own ambulance service. Now, we get fire tax money. They want to take our fire tax money away from us to give it to the ambulance service that they refuse to help us fund originally. That's the way I see that.
And in the process, we become a county service.
Well, that's what I said, it'll be an out of the city of Wagner ambulance.
I think we all know where.
Our fire department.
All right, hold on, we're not done. You wanna finish the department reports? Hold on.
You ready to go?
Go ahead, take off.
We'll get it down real quick. I'm gonna talk about the fire just a little longer. Fire department's had a busy month, but they have been exceptional value of service, not only to what you've heard tonight out in the county, but this own city and other departments helping do what they've done. From helping the street department get snow and ice removal off the sidewalks and all that stuff, to helping the water distribution guys from that standpoint. So double kudos to our fire department. You bet you. There's no need, no reason for those to be defunded, in my opinion. We need to create a separate entity if we want to fund an ambulance service in the county and run it properly in that aspect. In regards to the street department's been very busy as well, with an ice and snow removal from that aspect. Give you a little example of how much we've had to deal with in repairs from water leaks and everything else in that. We spent, well over 27 ton of asphalt due to repairs this last month alone, in water line breaks and repairing in the street side of things. It's been a very busy month across the board in a lot of different departments throughout the city. With that, I'll wrap it up. You have to answer.
Before we leave, before we go, do we not have a police car? I'm glad he came back in. The other day I saw him at the gas station, and his car was roar. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with your car? It's about to break down. And it was a police car. He was on duty.
I'll answer that question. I've got two in the shop right now.
Yeah, because I was wondering, can we buy a used one or something?
I would think we'll get it from the fire department.
I was looking at him and I thought, man, if you was on the police chase with me and you broke down, I'm coming back and just shoot you up.
I can answer that question. Like I said, I've got two people down at the city garage now. Those guys are working, but like I said, they having to work, kind of put it in place. We do have vehicles that they can drive to get their job done.
Yeah, because if I went on city council, I'd videoed and put it on Facebook.
So they can fix water leaks.
It was horrible.
Everything else. So they're getting to us. It's just gonna take a little while, but we're blessed to be able to have that vehicle. If he wouldn't tear stuff up, so no, I'm joking.
No, Big Mike is a good cop. He's a good responder.
Well,
He wouldn't put a ticket in once in a while, but.
before we adjourn, I'm gonna talk about the fire department. I just want to give them credit too. You know, we
Thank
we
God.
ran on a call out at Whitehorn and helped them out, but a couple weeks ago, we did a fantastic job on a house fire up in the northwest part of town. Did a fabulous job. Very proud of them. We actually had one of our guys that retired, David Morrison, 27 years?
Yep.
27 years. I'm 31. It took me about 27 years to start calling him Dave from Mr. Morrison.
It's hurtful too.
It is hurtful. Wagner Fire Department's really gonna miss him. But I strongly urge you to get educated on these proposals. Please. This is on recording, Tony.
All kidding aside, when our downtown caught on fire, how our Wagner Fire Department.
You betcha.
I can picture it right now,
Yeah.
Little Hughes and some of our other fire departments on the side of those buildings down there, fighting and everything else with everything we had. And our fire department is one of the greatest that there is.
I'll give you an example. I almost didn't make it out of there. I was one of the first ones in. I almost died in that fire. You know what probably would have helped me? No, if I'd had a radio. You take those funds away? Yep.
Bigger places don't understand the stuff like that is detrimental to us as far as radios, communications, things like that. But I mean, it's a lot that we can't get. It's no different than being at home. You know, if you get your income tax, everybody waits for their income tax to come in, but if it doesn't come in, you're gonna be missing out on something. So it's gonna be about like that with ours. And these guys do a terrific job. They work on their own equipment. They build stuff to make sure that we're all safe. And like I said, I can commend you guys.
Yeah, one more thing, if we go back to letting them call the EMS station again, we get them out there fast. You remember, he used to call the EMS? Remember y'all used to take the calls? And y'all just zoom on out,
Yeah, 911.
you know?
Yeah, 911, not the ambulance
Get 'em
building.
out.
Yeah,
'Cause of the
they
count.
called 911
Yeah.
right to the PD.
Yeah, but they got the call quick, you know, but, yeah, county just can't get the calls out. They need to be trained to do something. That's why they say about 40 minutes, well, it could be 10 minutes, it'd go back to us.
Another thing too, when you're waiting on the ambulance, 5 minutes
Seems like a long.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
You know, we get times, a lot of times when we check the times, it ain't there what we thought it was.
All right, go ahead, Rhonda.
I make that motion.
Oh, the brick fundraiser, so, yeah, we kinda touched on it before, so we still have the brick fundraiser going.
Extend past the date that's on the website, we're gonna extend it out until we're ready to put the bricks down. So, 5. We need some advertisement out there, we've sold 5 bricks, we get $80 a brick towards the parks. Like he said, there's no money in the budget for the parks, we're having to raise every single dime, and I know $100 a brick seems really crazy. They're like, $100 a brick, that's crazy. It's $80 toward our parks. We are going to need some other things besides what's been paid for. We're gonna need benches, we're gonna need trash cans, we're gonna need dog poop picking up things. We're gonna need other things. We're gonna need more fence around the pickleball, which was just paid for by Cherokee Nation. We are gonna need the basketball court resurfaced. We need other things. And I would like to thank Mr. Hicks for working with us and getting that on the budget this week. ABA swings are starting to arrive. It's really coming together, and I would like to thank everybody who's helped.
Yep, kids have been at the park.
Thank you. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Item number 28 is adjournment.
So mate.
So made.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, please call the roll.
Butler.
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Higginbottom.
Yes.
Roden.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Sampson.
Yes.
Me and Jern, 9:42.
All right, I'm good, man. Same, I intend to call you, try calling you, and the number that I got ain't your number.